Hello, HR professionals, still here in Sevierville, and I have Ed Trent with me. Hey, Ed.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. And he was speaking this morning on some issues that have always been very complex for HR professionals, Ed, and that is talking about disabilities in the workplace.
Correct.
And one of the most difficult processes, I think, anyway, is the interactive process, and so many people don't understand that.
It's really kind of the heart of the new ADA after the amendments in 2008.
ADAAA.
The ADAAA, the Americans with Disabilities Act Amendments Act.
Yeah.
And it really turns the focus on how are employers working with their disabled employees to come up with those reasonable accommodations. Are they really looking at what does that employee need to allow them to be successful in the workplace? And so it's incumbent upon the employers to take the time to meet with the employees, find out not only their limitations, but what are their capabilities? Because when they work based on their capabilities, not their disabilities.
Right.
So how can we maximize their capabilities to benefit the employee and the company? And
Focus on those essential.
You have to focus
duties.
on the essential job duties. It's sort of what are they hired to do?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that if they can't do, then I don't need them because I have to have someone perform these job functions. Certain things that are minor or ancillary that I can reassign, I need to be able to do that. But what are the key functions, and then how can I make them successful in that area?
Right.
That's where you need to start anyway.
And do we wait till they come to see us, or can we go, oh, I think this one has a disability. Can you come to my office and let's do an interactive process?
No, you don't go approach somebody.
That's the way you do it, is it?
It isn't. You don't want to assume that someone has a disability or that they need an accommodation, even if they may have a disability. That is up on the employee to bring that to the employer's attention. Now, if you see an employee who you think is, because of a physical impairment or condition that makes them a danger to themselves or they're not able to do their job, you do have the right to request a physical exam for fitness for duty. But you want to be careful as to, is this kind of over time or what the circumstances are? But primarily the employee needs to initiate the process.
And let's dig a little deeper because the interview process is important as well. When we're interviewing, we can see those disabilities. Is that something we should point out that, and ask, how can you do the job because you have an obvious disability?
That's not the way that I would approach it, but if I notice something that is open and obvious, what I may do is talk to the employee, and I would probably do this with all applicants, on this are the essential functions of the job. This is what the job entails. This is how the job is done. Is there anything about that you would not be able to do either with or without accommodation? And put it on the employee. I don't want to assume that what appears to be a disability to me is somehow disabling of the individual, because that individual has lived with their disability and may be able to overcome a whole lot more than I may understand, because that's been their condition and they've learned to deal with it in life, and they may be one of my best employees.
Exactly.
So I don't want to assume
and
they're incapable.
oftentimes they are, because they're very appreciative of the job.
Yes, they want the opportunity and they want to demonstrate that just like any other employee that they can be successful. And the vast majority in the right jobs and given the opportunities to accommodate where they need accommodations are oftentimes going to be very successful.
So we know our role in HR. What about the hiring manager, the manager they report to, who comes to you with complaints about their performance because they're not keeping up with their productivity like their coworkers are?
Well, part of that is, one, if we're providing reasonable accommodation, the supervisor needs to know what that is. One, because the supervisor needs to make sure those accommodations are indeed in place. Because we don't want to say we're offering an accommodation and that not be the reality in the workplace. Lowering production standards is not a requirement under the ADA, but if they notice that someone who has received accommodations is starting to slip behind, by bringing it to HR's attention, HR can go back and meet with that employee and determine whether something more needs to be done, or whether this is a short-term issue or kind of what's going on that's impacting productivity.
Okay, that was the point. So it goes to HR, not the hiring manager. The hiring manager is not going to be the one to sit down with that employee and go through that interactive process. That's HR's role.
Correct. What they want to do is have that as part of the interview process. But normally HR would be involved with that. You want to keep the hiring manager out of getting too many details about the employee's medical condition,
right.
Only what they need to know in order to properly supervise them. And that way HR can control the questions that are asked, the information that's obtained, and ultimately make the final decision on behalf of the company as to what reasonable accommodations may be available.
Great. Well, I think you've covered it all.
Well, perfect.
Yeah. If you have any questions, though, you can certainly contact Ed. Would you like to share your contact information here?
The email is just etrent@wimberlylawson.com, and then our office number is 865-546-1000.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes with our third interview for the day. So stay tuned.